Now, back to the interview from a few minutes ago with Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy. The best of the morning X.
99X.
Carla,
Yes.
talk
Hello?
to our
Hello?
friend Andy Martin. Yes, you're on.
Hi, Carla.
I was wondering how I could get into that business as well, because I've pretty much always wanted to do that. I have a couple of skydives under my belt, and I've studied martial arts for a while. But I didn't know where to go or how to start.
Well, Carla, a lot of stuntmen audition girls in the trailer on the set.
Hey.
No, I'm just kidding you, Carla.
This is what we're trying to get to.
No, seriously, you sound like you got an awful lot of skills there. It's just a matter of finding out through possibly the commission where the films are, hanging out, doing your, paying your dues, so forth. Yeah, but if you want it, you got to go get it. And it took me like 4 years before I landed my first gig. So, it's not that easy.
It's a very hard field to break into, though, isn't it?
Well, it's like acting.
But
it's like any of that.
But it's more so because, well, first of all, there are fewer stuntmen than there are actors, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of it. I mean, it's like a club. It's a clique.
Yeah, it is.
You hire people you know.
You can trust.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all about trust.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea's got a good question. Hey, Andrea.
Hey,
Hi,
how are
Ben.
you? Well, first of all, I would like to say congratulations for having the job from hell, apparently.
I don't see it like that at all.
Well, different strokes. But I'm kind of curious. I heard you say something about union, but if you, God forbid, if you were to really get injured, get hurt, who would take care of you? I mean, do you have to take out your own insurance, or do you have a contract? Do you have a clause with each movie you do, or do you have your manager? I mean, how does that work?
No, well, under the Screen Actors Guild, they provide adequate insurance for stunt people. It's we're covered. We're covered. And hey, if it worst scenario comes, my wife and children will have a wonderful life.
Well, let's not think like that, by any means.
Have you been ever in a worst scenario situation on a set?
Actually, not on a set that I was actually working on, but I've seen quite a great deal of injuries. But I'll tell you what, on the brighter side, nowadays, because of the calculated risk, that's the difference between doing some stunt on the street and doing it in the film. It's become quite technical, so it's getting better, but there's a lot of serious injuries that happen along the way.
You're talking about some of the actors that you've worked with before, and you had mentioned Mel Gibson and Val Kilmer. Who are some other actors? At some point, I'm guessing you get kind of jaded. It's just another actor. But what are some other actors who you've been starstruck by?
Well, we were talking earlier here between the break, and I don't go for the signature. I don't look for autographs and so forth. I just go and try to make friends with people, and that's important to me in life. But like Harrison Ford, I was a kid that stuck an ice cream cone in Alexander Goodenoff's face years and years ago, and he was a great guy, real down to earth. Used to be a carpenter, etc. I was on Matt Damon, one of his first projects here in Atlanta. It was called Midnight Edition. No, wait a minute. No, it wasn't. It was called I forget the name of the film, but he was. This was early on, and he was a great guy. I saw him again later on Bagger Vance. And let's see some other names. We mentioned Kevin Costner in The War. Guy with some great philosophies. One of his philosophies, he says, it's always good to present your life like somebody important is always watching you and stuff like that.
Did you work on one of his good movies or one of his bad movies?
This was one that really didn't make it. It was called The War, I think.
Are stunts safer or more dangerous than they used to be?
I personally think that they're safer because of the technological breakthroughs. We've got some great equipment out now, and the design. And again, it used to be trial and error, but now we're acting on experience. I mean, for example, there was a stuntman killed in New York by jumping a car into water. Well, I've done that. Well, the windshield came out, got him, twisted his neck, took his life. But now we put things, in place and rig things with, air in the car and so forth. We've learned. So.
All right.
What did you do in Black Hawk Down? What stunt would we see you in?
Actually, in Black Hawk Down, I was the assistant coordinator, so my job was to wrangle all the young guys and try to keep them.
So you didn't do any?
But at the very last day of the shoot, we had a guy from the Czech Republic that was having a problem hitting his mark on a high fall. It was about a 50-footer into some boxes, actually, that was covered up with
well, this was the very famous scene in the movie. This was the where the guy fell out of the helicopter.
Yeah, it actually was one of the first things that went wrong in the invasion. In that war with Somalia. But what happened? The stunt coordinator turned to me. That he actually knew me well. I worked on the Money Pit with him years ago, and he says, "You're doing this tomorrow." But
Andy, you're in.
yeah, but it worked out well. It was a back fall out of a helicopter into some boxes, and then it takes training too. Falling backwards is hard to hold.
Well, now explain how that was done, because we saw just the guy falling onto the dirt.
Right.
So how was that shot? And where were the boxes? How was that done?
Well, we had a mock-up helicopter, and we weren't actually using the real deal because you get such prop wash and so forth. But we had fans going, and there was a lot of dust and so forth. But we set it up, and they were shooting it, from the top down, and I just did the back fall into the boxes next to a rope, which also presented a problem. That thing twists you up, and it'll make you feel like the old days.
But nowadays, also with falls, because technology is so good, can't they put safety wires on you and then just erase them in post-production?
Yeah, they do that, and sometimes they don't have to erase them. It's according to what the backdrop is. You use flat paint, but yeah, with falls, we use what's called a descender, which is a wire. But then there are those free falls, and those are, to me, much more delightful.
Free falling.
How tall? What's the tallest building you've ever fallen?
I think. Let's see. Anthony Michael Hall. The thing was called Out of Bounds. I did an 8-story fall.
8 stories.
Yeah.
I want to try.
Andy, it's been cool to have you on.
Hey, man, it's been a pleasure.
Andy Martin, very cool.
Thanks, guys.
Never know who's out there in your area. Hard to believe this guy's living right there in Dawsonville.
I know. Douglasville, not
D-ville.
D-ville, whatever.
All right, Andy Martin's his name. Nice to meet you, Andy. Good luck with your stunts.
Thanks.
You're on the best of the Morning X. Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy.
99X.